do you feel that just in your time since the organization has started that you felt like you've made a difference?
Oh yeah, 100% actually, which is amazing because I wasn't really expecting that. I didn't know what we could do. I didn't know what Gays Against Groomers would become. I knew I wanted it to be more than just like a social media account. When I first launched it, everybody was like, "Oh, it's like the libs of TikTok you get off Wish."
What? Really? They called you
like
libs of TikTok?
Yeah. They used to say that it was, trying to be like libs of TikTok. And that was genuinely, I never had that in mind. That wasn't it. I knew like from day one, it was a group of us. Like it was a group of us that were making content. It started out just social media, but I knew like I wanted to make it more than that. And so I very quickly, filed.
Who's in the original group?
Oh gosh. Mike Harlow, he's a good friend of yours, right?
Yeah, he
was one of the OGs. I basically just banded together a bunch of the gay friends I made through my time being the gay who strayed, and was like, guys, I have this idea. You want to join and make some videos and see what we can do? Like, we have to push back against this.
Because it does seem ideologically similar to ish, like Walk Away.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. It's just, we actually, our editor-in-chief, like people think that we're all right wing, but we actually have people from all over the political spectrum in our group. Our editor-in-chief actually stumped for AOC. He doesn't support her anymore.
What does stumping mean?
Like, getting out the vote and campaining for her. Like, he lives in New York City, so yeah.
I was like stumping. I'm like, is there a new sex move I don't know about?
It's a new TikTok dance.
It's a position, yeah.
No, but we're a very diverse group of people, mentally, physically, like it's just we're all over the place, but we have the one common belief and mission that we want to end this nightmare happening to kids. And we also want to stop it. I've always said our mission is twofold. It's first and foremost to protect kids and stop this insanity. But also to kind of like help ourselves too, because the backlash against our community, against all of us, is growing by just association. And the truth is the majority of people, of gay people, and I truly believe even trans people, like do not want this happening. It's just the approved narrative, and all you see, like the clips that go viral, you're not going to see me at home with my fiance watching Netflix. Like that doesn't make the news, but that's really what, the majority of us are just living our lives like every other American. And that's all we want. We don't want to push anything on anyone, but the narrative out there is that, like, even when I think of like pride right now, I just think of kids, like the push on kids. And that's so horrible because it's really hurting all of us. We just achieved our hard fought equality less than 10 years ago. It was 2015 where it became, legal nationally. And, I'll never forgive these radicals, these activists, for basically proving the ultra right, that warned of the slippery slope.
Yeah.
The stereotype, oh, what's next? Like with the slippery slope, you can't legalize marriage. What comes next? Pedophilia. And it's like, now we're basically, I pray, at the bottom of the slope. I don't know how much further down it can get, but and the majority of us, and I want to specify, I want to make it really clear to people, and I always say this, is that it isn't the people pushing this and crafting this agenda and narrative and pushing it. They aren't gay or trans, like, the heads of these multinational corporations or the heads of the medical industry and the Board of Education and all these people at the top that are in this concerted effort to push this stuff on kids. They're not part of the community. They're using us as a shield to evade criticism, to be able to do it, and because they're able to, just say, oh, you're a hateful bigot, you're transphobe, you're a homophobe, like if you push back against it. And so, we're kind of being used as scapegoats, and we take great issue with that. So yeah, this is a really personal fight for us. And we also, I always say, and I think about it every day, like we pretty much all of us in Gays Against Groomers see ourselves in these kids. Like the majority of these kids, these gender non-conforming kids, would otherwise just grow up to be gay. Like if I grew up in this era, I would 100% believe that I was supposed to be a boy. And if my parents bought into this insanity and like, you know, were part of the swept up into this ideological cult, they would have medically transitioned me. I would have asked them to, and they would have done it. But I have never wanted to be a boy a day in my life, or a man. You know, it's like, it's so scary that these kids now, like, we just really see ourselves in them. So
I think about it too, because I started gymnastics at 9 and springboard diving at 11. And I think about like how important sports was to my upbringing and like how it shaped me gave me such a discipline and really set me up for like a lifetime of not quitting easily on things. And if you know, if I was that age now where like basically like biological men are allowed to compete next to girls, like I would have been out. I wouldn't have placed ever. I would have I probably would have gotten discouraged and quit, and the whole course of my life would have been different. And that's the issue for me, that like it's just so
the sports issue, it's so sad. And it's like, you know, it's crazy because the same people pushing this, you know, this whole trans rights, which I don't like calling them rights. Like, they're not rights. You don't get to take away other people's safety and well-being and whatever. Like, that's not a right. But whatever, you know, they masqueraded as trans rights. The same people pushing that are the same people that just, you know, held the women's march for like 5 years straight. And now these people can't even define what a woman is and are just throwing women to the side, for these mediocre men, to cater to the feelings of mediocre men and boys, you know, in schools, like in the sports aspect and everything. And it's just absolutely insane. And I don't know what wave of feminism that is, where you bend over and give everything.
Where you're too polite to say anything because you don't want to be like a cunt. Like, yeah,
the same feminists are now like just opening the door for men to take everything away from actual women. It's so confusing to me.
Well, it's like the kids, the students, they're too young to really like, and they get intimidated into thinking like, oh, I'm gonna lose my scholarship, I'm gonna create too many problems with the authority figures in my life. I can't really speak out. I don't feel like I have the agency to say what I feel. And then you have the coaches and the woke parents and the administrators, like they want to look like allies and good people.
Right. And that's what it all comes down to. Like, they're literally hurting women and children, especially children, in the name of, you know, being nice and inclusive. And it's like, this is such garbage. It has the exact opposite effect. You know, I'm so sick of people feeling pressure. That, you know, that's why Gays Against Groomers, we're here to be like, look, you're not homophobic, you're not transphobic if you don't go along with this. Like, this is common sense. This is basic decency, basic biology. Like, we cannot continue down this path. We just can't. And, you know, I don't want people to continue being scared to speak out. And I'm so glad that more and more are speaking out. Like, I don't know if you just saw, Dr. Phil was just on Joe Rogan's podcast speaking about, you know, how evil this gender affirming care industry and practice is. And it's like, you know, this is really kind of starting to hit the mainstream now. And so thankfully, I think more people will start to speak out. And it's just like, just do it. You're going to be on the right side of history. Like, you don't want to, decades from now, we're going to look back at this part in history in such deep shame. I truly believe that, like, appalled. Oh yeah, here we go. This is amazing.
Oh god, yeah, this is there's really a 25-minute clip.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil informs Joe Rogan that reinstating Trump's remaining. Oh, this is
here, if you go, actually, can you bring up the Gays Against Groomers Instagram on there? I posted a 2-minute clip on there because that's actually a really good clip. It's like less than 2 minutes.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, go down right
here.
There.
We go.
Gender affirming care. You know, that's interesting that they call it that, but really what they're talking about is hormonal therapy or sex reassignment surgery on children. And in fairness, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Endocrine Society, or whatever the exact name of that is, all of the major medical associations have signed off on this, Joe. They've signed off on it. And I have never seen those organizations sign off on anything with less information as to whether or not it does long-term harm of anything in my life. And when I ask about that, when I bring that up, then they immediately label you as transphobic.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that the deal was first do no harm. And all of the European countries, Sweden, Norway, they've all stopped doing it because they say, we cannot say in good conscience that this does no harm, because it does harm. If you look at the long-term consequences, if someone changes their mind at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, they can't decide which pajamas they want to wear at night. And their reason for doing it is it stops this drive for suicide, that there's a suicide epidemic. It doesn't fix that. It doesn't fix all the comorbid issues that come along with feeling like they're in the wrong body. But yet they're pushing this, and we're going to do some shows that are already taped that are revealing what the real results of this are. And I think people are going to be shocked that these medical organizations have signed off on this. I think they've just given in to the pressure.
Yeah, and for the same reason they signed off on the jab. Money talks, and
I mean, I think there's for sure, money, 100%. I think there's a few motivators behind it, honestly, but I don't want to get too conspiratorial. But
yes, let's get conspiratorial.
Well, the elites love to talk about population control. What better way to do that?
Of course, they're coming at us from all angles. Food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Child sterilization, the jabs, all of it. It's all working towards it.
That's my little tinfoil hat. No, but I mean, I really don't think it's much of a conspiracy. They openly say it. So you can't really keep producing humans if all the kids are sterilized. So,
which leads perfectly into this study.
I know. Wasn't that a great segue, actually?
Just came out yesterday. What'd you say?
And wasn't that a great segue? What Dr. Phil said? I wasn't planning that, actually.
We are real professionals here on this channel. This just came out yesterday. Core claim an LGBT narrative around gender affirming care busted in new Finnish study. And just like Dr. Phil was saying, these Scandinavian countries are coming around on this a lot, because guess what? They were among the first to start doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And they've been doing it long enough to know that it is not helping. So a new study has concluded sex change surgeries do not have an impact on suicide risk. Activists and profit incentivized health professionals have long told parents with supposedly gender dysphoric children that they have a choice. And we've heard this so many times from these activists that would you rather have a dead son or a live daughter, or between a living son and a dead daughter, as if those are a parent. They will literally hold a parent hostage, saying these are your only two options.
It is. I mean, that is the most grotesque emotional blackmail. Like, I mean, people actually do that. Like, we hear that, but like so many families have actually been confronted with that by their doctors and, family doctors and gender doctors and therapists. And it's all a lie. And we all knew this. And,
Mm-hmm.
obviously now, of course, the data is actually starting to come out.
It's catching up with most people's common sense. So in other words, many parents have presented with the choice of either subjugating their mentally compromised child to irreversible and sterilizing sex change medical interventions, or running the risk of their child ending their life. In a new peer-reviewed study, the esteemed quarterly journal BMJ Mental Health has put a nail in the coffin of this deceitful proposition. Finnish researchers wanted to figure out whether adolescents or young adults with clinically significant gender dysphoria were less likely to end their lives if provided so-called gender affirming care. After analyzing all cause and suicide rates among a study population of 2,083 of gender referred adolescents and 16,643 of matched controls, the researchers concluded that medical gender reassignment does not have an impact on suicide risk. All cause and suicide mortalities did not differ between those gender referred who had who had and had not proceeded to these sex change surgeries when psychiatric treatment history was accounted for, wrote the researchers. The researchers noted in their study that gender dysphoria, the mistaken sense that a person's so-called gender identity does not align with the person's sex, is often accompanied by a desire to obtain hormonal and surgical treatment. And again, if nobody made money off any of this stuff, it would not be as popular as it is. And if it weren't part of this depopulation agenda, I also don't think it would be as popular. The number of youths referred to clinics in hopes of satisfying the desire has skyrocketed along with gender dysphoria diagnosis. I think it's up like hundreds of percent.
Oh no, it's like thousands. I think it's up. I know that from like 20, oh gosh, I'm going to get the dates wrong, the years wrong. I feel like it was from 2007 to I don't know. Within like 10 years, it jumped. The number of trans or non-binary identifying youth has like shot up by like 4,000%. And that's just insane, you know, and they try and say it's not a social contagion. And just because society is becoming more accepting, and that's absolute bullshit. Like, sorry, can I swear on here?
Swear away. They said there were 55 deaths in the study population, including 20 suicides. In the bivariate analyses, all-cause mortality did not statistically significantly differ between the gender-referred individuals and the controls. However, the proportion of suicides was higher in the gender-referred group. The study highlighted that psychiatric treatment was more common and frequent amongst the gender-referred cohort. Nearly 40% of the students in the group ultimately underwent sex change surgeries. Wow. Despite the apparent deltas between death rates on first inspection, multivariate analyses revealed the all-cause mortality of gender-referred individuals did not differ from that of the controls. So no significant benefit. So this whole argument goes out the window.
Mm-hmm. And they knew this. Like, they knew this. Everything they say they know is not true. It's just a way to manipulate, you know, parents into going along with this against what they know is not right. They have to know, you know, but like when you're confronted, like you do this or your kid is going to kill themselves. Like,
it scares you. They're holding you hostage. And here's another kind of similar article that came out earlier this month. WHO quietly admits there's no solid backing for giving children gender affirming care. This came out February 3rd.
Yeah, we're just going to continue to see more and more of this. You know, and there was another article that I just saw recently that said like a bunch of gender clinics are having to shut down, or they're not able to provide, you know, services to youth anymore because the insurance malpractice premiums are shooting up so high, you know, and the only thing these people understand is money. So that's, you know, between that and getting all these laws passed, that's what it's going to take. So it's just,
wow. And then Biden signed an executive order in June of 22 directing the Department of Health and Human Services to take steps to address the barriers and exclusionary policies. So he is very much working against this. And like we mentioned before, healthcare authorities in the United Kingdom, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and France, among others, have recommended greater caution in providing these sex changes. So they're already getting off the bandwagon.
Yeah, they're going to start backtracking and be like, you know, kind of like how with a lot of people are now with COVID, like the jab and the lockdowns and stuff. They're like, what is the word they use? Like a COVID, not immunity, like where they want to kind of just wipe the slate clean, like none of that ever happened. They didn't really.
They want they want they want they don't want to have to apologize.
Yeah,
like, it was crazy times.
Yeah, like you know, let's move past that. No, like all these people are gonna start doing this, you know, and they're gonna pretend that they were always against it and on the side of protecting children from chopping their healthy body parts off. But no, we won't forget who pushed this, because you know they need to be remembered. And honestly, if you know, I don't know, they need to have much worse done to them. I think, you know, anybody that is in favor of this, any adult, doctor, whatever, activist that wants this to happen to children, I think they should have it done to themselves, the exact same procedure, and then be tossed in prison.
Yeah. What amount of kickbacks, what amount of money makes this worth it to you to actually go through with recommending this to a child and literally taking advantage of parents who just don't want to lose their child? It's
for sure. Like, remember, I watched the whole opioid epidemic, like when oxycodone first came out and stuff, or Oxycontin. I watched this show on Hulu called Dope Sick. I don't know if you saw it, but it was basically,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's actually so good. But they show like the farmer reps that go out and sell it to doctors and incentivize them and stuff. And so I'm sure the same kind of stuff is going on here with these puberty blockers and because when you get them, the thing about trans medication or medicine, whatever drugs, once you're on them, trans isn't really a noun, it's a verb, like transitioning. It's a process that doesn't end. So when you get kids hooked up on these drugs very young, they need them for the rest of their lives. And these surgeries,
there's no finish line that you cross and you're all better.
The puberty blockers and then the hormones are for life, literally for life. Like you stop and you go back to you never really transition in the first place, but all the characteristics kind of go back to your biological anatomy and sex. But and then with the surgeries, there's a million follow-ups and complications, and it's just very, it's scary, man.
Do you listen to or watch like a lot of videos or like read comments from like a lot of your haters? Because just in trying to like prepare for this, I watched a few, and it's interesting. Like one of the chief complaints of Gays Against Groomers is that you guys give off the message to kids that they're not allowed to be gay. Have you heard that a lot?
No, but I think that's really funny. I mean, I personally don't think any child has a sexuality. When you start getting a crush on someone, like in your teens or early teens, like the hormones start flowing, which puberty blockers are there to block and make like it's not happening. But
it's like, wouldn't it make you kind of asexual in a way?
Yeah. When you're at that age, you'll start to have feelings for either the same sex or the opposite sex. I don't think anything should be pushed on kids. I think that, like all of us growing up, we just figured out who we were naturally, and that's what it should be. Like, there should be nothing pushed on anyone. I think that at the same time, we don't want kids to feel alienated or what's the word I'm looking for? Like different or weird or excluded. But I think actually, there is more homophobia rising, and like the group like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like the rebellious group, they are going to turn against these kids because this is being pushed down their throats, and they're going to be against, I don't know. It's complicated, but no, I don't think that we ever said that, or that's what we're trying to do at all.
Yeah, because you could be middle school, high school, and have like, I remember I like looked up to a lot of the like gymnasts on the like in high school, like the high school girls that were like, because I think I was on the varsity team when I was like 7th and 8th grade, and they were like, so I was on the team with these high school girls, and I like looked up to them and like not that I had crushes on them, but I was like, I thought they were cool and were like really good, and so it's like you just gotta let all that stuff settle out for a few years.
You will figure out who you are on your own, and it really it hurts my heart that these kids are that it's being pushed on kids. And it's childhood and adolescence is already very confusing and awkward. And, it's adding so much into just so much more confusion and into their tiny little heads that are still growing and trying to figure the world out and who they are. And it's just sad. Like I shudder at the thought of having to grow up right now. Like, it's very scary, and I feel really bad. It
seems like it's a lot more to undo and try to fix rather than just like letting your hormones figure themselves out and just like seeing your way through adolescence like we all have had to do. Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right, love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Come and get it. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.